Hello students, welcome to the basic science class, and today we're going to be talking about living things. I'm going to be explaining definition of living things, and we're going to be talking about the characteristics of living things. So let's get started. Living things are things that have life, and when you say a living thing, you talk about that a living thing is made up of a cell or cells. And what makes the living thing to be functional as a living thing is the cell, and that is why we say the cell is the functional unit of life. Once a cell is not functional anymore in a living thing, then that living thing is dead. So let's go to the characteristics of living things. Living things have characteristics. We cannot define life, but we can define the characteristics of living things. Before that, let me show you the examples of living things. Majorly, the scientists categorize the living things as two. We have the plants, you can see the plants here, and we have the animal. So you can see the plants, we have the animal. The animal here is the fish. So we have various examples of plants. We have the spinach, we have the garden egg, we have cucumber and others. We have examples of animals apart from the fish I've shown you. Like a human being, we are examples of animals. We have the snail, we have the toad, we have the crocodile. So let's go to the characteristics of living things. The characteristics are summarized as Mr. Niger cat. Mr. Niger cat. M stands for movement, R stands for reproduction, and others. So I'm going to be starting with the movement. So movement can be defined as a change in position. You move from a place to another place. And in animals, movement is very free. The animals can move the whole body, and they can move the whole body from one place to another. But the plants, movement is restricted. In animal, it is free. In plant, it is restricted. It's restricted because if I show you this example of the plant here, you can see that this plant is tied to the ground. It is rooted to the plant. So movement is not free in the plants. The animals have the structures of movement, and I'm going to give you very few examples. The fishes, they use the fins to move. You can see the fishes start with F, and they also move with what starts with F, and that is what? The fins. Let me show you the examples of the fins here. We have here, this is an example of a fin. We have the fin here, we have the fin here, we have the fin here. That is good. Human beings will move with what? They move with limbs. Look at my limbs, upper limb. Look at my lower limbs. And that is what we call the legs. We move with the limbs. So let's go to the reproduction. That is the next. We've talked about the movement. Now we want to talk about reproduction. So what do you suggest as the meaning or definition for reproduction? Reproduction can be defined as the giving rise to offsprings. Reproduction can be defined as giving rise to offsprings. So you just say giving can be defined as giving rise to offsprings. The offsprings are called the young ones. The reason for reproduction is very clear. The reason for reproduction is for life to be able to continue. For life to be able to what? Continue. So it is for continuity of life. So let's give examples of structures of movement or reproduction in plants and animals. Plants generally reproduce using their flowers. Yes. Plants reproduce using flowers. Plants reproduce using flowers. So let me give you an example of flower here. You can see this is the garden of plants. You can see this beautiful hibiscus flower here. So they use the flower to reproduce. While, let me give an example of what structure do human beings use to reproduce. So, the male human being, that's the male, reproduce using the balls that are here, the testes. Yes. Male reproduce, that's animals now, animals. Male reproduce using, reproduce by testes. Testes. Those are the two balls you have in. While the woman, okay, the female reproduce, the female use or reproduce by ovaries. By ovaries. So that is good. Now we go to the next characteristic, that is the nutrition. That is what? Nutrition. So what do you suggest as nutrition? What do you suggest as nutrition? And definition of nutrition. Yes, your suggestion? Yes, nutrition simply means feeding. I'm not going to continue nutrition here. In the next class, we're going to start with nutrition. Thank you very much. Goodbye.